Good to be back here after the weekend. Jim Donovan with Dave DiNatale. Jimmy, the owners' meetings are going on. We thought, well, maybe we have a bit of a break, a respite from Browns news, but I mean, the rumors flying fast and furious all day today, coming out of Orlando, coming out of New York, coming out of everywhere here.
Yes, there are. Not totally unexpected. I think, when you have the #1 pick and you're a hot commodity at that point. Then you add in the #4 pick, and you're really a hot commodity, and you're kind of historical to have two picks like that. And I think that's going to continue. Yeah. It used to be in the old days.
Back in the day,
that a lot of times, and maybe even in some recent times, you almost committed to a player.
Right.
And you said, "Hey, listen, we're going to take him #1." And then it used to be that you had to immediately begin on working to get that player under contract.
Right.
I remember when Tim Couch was selected by the Browns, I happened to be on the Browns plane that day going to New York, and they were pretty sure that they were going to get Couch, but they wanted to have a contract signed before they made the pick because they didn't want any holdouts. This was before the rookie salary structure went into place. So if you can remember, when you would draft a guy, there was the factor that you had to get him signed, and you wanted to get him signed as quickly as possible because you didn't want a holdout. And that was the case with the Browns. Anyway, when we went to that draft in New York at that time, they had 4 contracts with titles on them.
Oh, my God.
Tim Couch, Achilles Smith, Donovan McNabb, Ricky Williams.
Wow.
They had 4 contracts ready to go. On Friday night, they were in serious discussions with Couch. The draft was Saturday at noon. And by, I think, a little past midnight, which would make it technically on Saturday morning, they had a deal in place that Couch would sign. And they whisked him back to Cleveland. That's how it was done in those times. And then the next year, they did the same thing with Courtney Brown. So, but now, because you really fall, it's all structured, and you fall into, a slot.
Right.
The days of that are over, and I think that's good.
It makes it a lot easier. Yeah, you have less chance of a whole lot. Do you like, real quick, did you like the draft when everything was on Saturday and Sunday, or do you like the way the NFL has kind of done this now, where you have a Thursday night, Friday night, and then wrap it up Saturday afternoon?
I do like the first round being glorified on the opening night, and then there's a couple of rounds on the Friday night, and then you finish it up Saturday. I kind of like it. I do kind of like it that way. I think that Thursday night is big, and certainly huge. Big here, and and annually it's big here because we're picking so darn early in the first round. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. I thought last year was riveting, especially when the Bears traded, and pretty much in the early part of the afternoon it was declared that the Browns were going to take Myles Garrett. But then the huge surprise was that Chicago went in front, traded with San Francisco to get over them, and took Mitch Trubisky. And then a lot
Everything
comes in.
You're right.
Everything
changes.
Yeah.
Everything changes. One of the great things
I do like it. I will really like it if the draft comes here.
Yes.
In either 2019 or 2020, and we, along with Canton, team up, and I think we'd put on a great show.
You talked about that during Channel 3 News at 6 tonight, that the league is coming to town this week to Canton for essentially a site survey. And it's kind of funny because, as you point out, I mean, the NFL spends a lot of time in Canton because of Hall of Fame weekend anyway. It's like you would think they would know what you're going to have, the capabilities of what you're going to have in terms of lodging and infrastructure and everything you need.
Well, here's my question, though. I'll play not devil's advocate, but just inquiring mind here. If you go, since they've done this with the draft now, and taken it to Chicago and Philadelphia, they've had outdoor venues. So the Cleveland Canton bid is for the first 2 nights to be held in Cleveland. Thursday, Friday, Cleveland, Saturday, Canton. Which has got, of course, the centerpiece being the Hall of Fame. But I wonder, where would the outdoor venue be here?
I wonder that, too.
Would it be, and we were talking about it over in the sports department, would it be where the Cavaliers parade ended up over in that mall.
Yeah,
was that
mall
B?
Mall
Was
B,
it?
yeah.
Mall B, would it be over there?
Overlooking the stadium. Yeah, that would be kind of
yeah.
cool.
But I'm kind of wondering what the plan would be. And obviously, you got to have a plan in place.
Right.
It's part of the bid. And if they're coming for a site survey, you better say, hey, this is what we're thinking of. So that would be interesting because, in Chicago they had it at, I think, over by Grant Park, didn't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
Philadelphia, they had it near a park too, or an outdoor venue. Mm-hmm. So that's what they look for because they want big numbers.
Oh, totally. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we're going to keep an eye on
the Browns.
On the Browns. So the New York Giants are having issues trying to re-sign their great wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ. And as you point out, if you have him on your team, it's awesome, but you need a case of Tylenol.
It's a lifetime. You get a lifetime subscription to Advil.
Yes, because he will give you headaches.
He is,
He will give you headaches. He's a great player. There's nobody doubts that. But he's also he's
a handful. Yeah, he's a handful. And remember now, he didn't play last year basically because he was hurt. He got hurt here in the preseason. He really never overcame that injury. And then he had lost a significant time before that, the year before that, with an injury. Tremendous talent. I mean, tremendous talent. But a lot of not only off-the-field issues, but sideline issues.
Yes.
Where he really acts out. He acts out against coaches. He acts out with teammates. And you just have to, you have to take a look at the whole package when you do something like that. He has come out in recent times, over the weekend basically, and said, I'm not going to step foot on the field for the Giants if I don't have a reworked contract. And the Giants, through ownership, are saying, hey, you know what? This is kind of a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you get from them?
Right. John Mara said, hey, look, nobody's untouchable in a trade as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
John Dorsey was asked about it today down in Orlando with the NFL Network, and there's a tampering rule in the NFL. You can't talk about players on other teams, and so he said, hey, look, I'm not trying to be political, but he's a player that Jarvis Landry played with at LSU, and our wide receivers coached him at LSU and the Giants. So, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Do you remember the time back pre-1999 and Al Lerner had gained ownership of the Browns, and we were getting set for, we were probably getting set for the expansion draft, and there was a great after-dinner combo, Lerner and Policy. Al Lerner and Carmen Policy, and they had a great act together. It was really refreshing. Yeah. Policy was really quick on his feet, and Al Lerner was very direct. And they had the City Club luncheon, but because the Browns were such a big story at the time, it wasn't in the City Club. It was over, I believe it was over in the convention center.
I think you're right.
Or it was in a hotel ballroom downtown, maybe over at the old Bond Court, or something like that. Anyway, or Sheraton,
or Renaissance,
whatever.
Something like that.
It was in a big ballroom though, and we went to a question and answer period, and we were looking for a coach. And at that point, there was Mike Holmgren. They were looking at him. Steve Mariucci was out in San Francisco.
That's right.
Carmen Policy had direct connections with both of them.
Yep.
Okay? And the question is asked, hey, are you looking at those guys that are in Green Bay and in San Francisco? And Carmen gave an answer, and bang, they got nailed with a huge fine.
Yeah.
So you do have to watch out
for the
tampering thing. And I would watch out for Odell Beckham Jr. too.
That's right. I can't see the Browns trade. I mean, people were throwing out all kinds of scenarios today, trading the 4th overall pick for Beckham. I don't see them doing that. I just don't. I don't see them doing that. Maybe there's interest there, but I don't. I think they want. My feeling is, I mean, Dorsey would want to, because he's traded for guys who have issues before when in Kansas City. I'm not saying, but I don't think he understands he's got these assets in the draft, and if you're going to trade one of them, you better get something that is going to be something you can live with for a long time.
Well, yeah, I'd tell you the other thing is you would be putting a lot of pressure on the new wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless him, but I mean, let's face it, you have to constantly worry about Josh Gordon.
Yes.
Jarvis Landry has had some, some problems, controlling his temper at times. Corey Coleman, hasn't exactly been what they thought he was going to be, and you've got to light a flame under him if he's even part of the process.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's
if you're going to add Odell Beckham Jr. now, wow, that poor guy won't get any sleep at night.
Right. On paper, it sounds great. People are coming around to my desk and saying, boy, that could be the best wide receiving core the NFL's seen in the last 5-6 years. Yeah, it could, but it could also be a ton of headaches.
Yeah, and from what, my last check on this, you still only play with one football in the game at a time. These guys want a lot of balls thrown their way. So, you have to pump the brakes on something like that, I think.
Okay, so that's the Beckham thing, right? Again, John Dorsey can't talk about it. No news on that front. You also brought up today on Channel 3 News on the Sportscast that Dan Patrick on his show today, quoting multiple people around the league, saying that the Browns prefer Josh Allen and that their love of Sam Darnold is essentially like a smokescreen.
Yeah,
you didn't sound like you're buying that. I don't know if I'm buying.
No, I didn't.
From that standpoint.
I know they're very high on Darnold. Now, if they are very high on Allen, I know they're very high on Darnold.
Yeah.
If they are very high on Allen, wow, they must be very, very high on him, because I think they're very impressed with the other kid and walked away from L.A. even more impressed. Right. Now, what happened in Wyoming, as they say, whatever happens in Wyoming stays in Wyoming.
Yes.
Dino, I think that this is really pre-draft.
Yeah.
You've got the number 1 pick. You're trying to. John Dorsey has been, I don't know, pretty open about saying, hey, I'm open for business.
Right.
As far as taking phone calls. It comes out that the Jets had called him about going up to number 1, and instead they couldn't get a deal done. The package just wasn't there for the Browns, and so the Jets went up to number 3 and got there with the Colts, which would tell you that number 1 pick is going to be very, very difficult to wrestle away from the Browns. Now, as far as who they take with that, if they're trying to put fear into the hearts of the Giants about, hey, we may take Allen or we may take Darnold, and you really like Darnold, maybe you should come up and do basically what the Bears did last year. I don't know. I think you can expect a ton of these things in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, because there are rumors at the chess game, but at some point, is there anything wrong? I don't think there's anything wrong with putting your stake in the ground and saying, "Hey, look, we're going to take, like the Rams. We're taking Jared Goff, and we're taking the Buccaneers. You were pretty sure they were taking Jameis Winston. At some point, is there harm in putting and saying, "Hey, look, we're going to take Sam Darnold, and that's it." Or
no, if you're really in love with the kid and you definitely know that he's your guy. There's no harm in doing it at all. You can go out and do that, and then concentrate on a significant pick and what you're going to do, strategize what you're going to do at number 4. You're not going to have a lot of time to think about it on draft night. So no, there's no harm in doing it unless there is indecision and unless there is a fluid market that someone is going to knock your socks off, and how far are you willing to go? Now, if you go from 1 to 2, okay. If you think the quarterbacks are, we've talked about this. Yeah. Do you think that there is a great separation between Darnold and Allen? Is Darnold, a much better quarterback with much more upside than Allen is? I don't know. I don't know what their board is. I know that they really like Darnold.
Yes, and so when I heard about this,
this is post.
This is
workout day though, and everybody, if I hear Mike Mayock and these guys say that was the best pro day I've ever seen. Yeah. And then the next day they go, this was the best pro day
No, really?
Yeah, this was the best pro day I've ever seen. They're even giving Johnny Manziel high grades for his pro day out in San Diego.
Right. And I remember they did that with Manziel.
Oh.
Manziel, I remember Ron Jaworski was like, well, Johnny Manziel, I wouldn't take him until like the 2nd or 3rd day. And then he has his pro day with the helmet and everything. And everybody's like, oh, this was amazing. Pro days are... we think the combine is nuts. I think pro days sometimes are even the after effect of the pro days are even more crazy.
Boy, I think it's hard to get past the tapes of the games that they played in, the situations that they were in, the weather conditions that they were in, the opponent they were playing against, how they did against that, the adjustment if they were having a rough game to turning it around and having a good game, or how they handled a bad game. And in both quarterbacks' cases, and really in all of their cases, even Mayfield and even Rosen, there are good and bad days that you will get a sample of.
And I still think there was something about Jimmy Haslam sitting and having a conversation, and I know they had dinner the night before Darnold, but having a conversation with Darnold's parents during the pro day. You're trying to find out, you're trying to open up every layer of these guys, and talking to the parents and getting a sense of what the upbringing was like, and how the player treats his parents and how the parents speak about the player. You learn things that way too. And maybe he
Absolutely.
did. Maybe Jimmy Haslam did the same thing in Laramie, Wyoming. That
I think he did.
Probably
he did. Yeah.
But I still think that carries a lot too.
Yeah, I think so, because this is a tremendous investment.
Yeah.
And if you don't hit on it, it's a real hit to the organization. And unfortunately, Jimmy Haslam has tasted that in the Manziel situation and even the Gilbert one. But just if you're staying with quarterbacks, definitely in the Manziel one, that they went back and they got him in the draft in the first round, and how it fizzled and didn't work out and it blew up in their face. There's another rumor out there that came out.
But wait, there's more.
John McClain, a very well-respected writer from the Houston Chronicle, who is Mr. Football in Houston, says that he has heard that the Browns are, whether they're puffing and bluffing, they are sending out hints that they would select a quarterback at number 1 and 4.
Now, why would they do? Well, no, wait a minute. Time out.
I think if you, and I don't know, you have a device, I don't know the whole thing, but I don't know that.
Yes.
He has sent out something that said
the Browns would be willing to.
And I think it's the actual John McClain. I mean, you have to check those things.
I don't.
They're daring you. They're daring you and saying, "Hey, listen, if this is true, they would be daring you and say, hey, listen, we may take them both.
Right.
So if you want one of these guys, you're going to have to come up.
You're going to have to come up and get them, right? And you're going to have to give us a high price to get them.
And this is only what, March 26th,
right? I mean,
so
we've got about a month. We've got a month of this to go. More quarterbacks, as we spoke about on Thursday, our last show. We had been told that there was some contact, kind of incidental contact, but there was contact between the Browns and veteran quarterback Drew Stanton during the course of the Browns' trip out to the West Coast. And we said, hey, kind of stick a pin in that, keep an eye on it. And we found out last night it is true. Drew Stanton is going to be the Browns' backup quarterback. And, again, we laid out all the reasons Thursday, but it makes a ton of sense for what the Browns are trying to do.
Yeah, I was a little worried that they weren't going to do this, and I really was. I was concerned that they weren't going to do this because you're going to have an athletic running quarterback as your starting quarterback in Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Whoever they draft, they are going to take a young quarterback, and the plan is that he sits.
Yes.
But if you didn't bring in another quarterback that has played in the league, and Tyrod Taylor got nicked or he got hurt and he's out, well, now you're defeating the whole plan, and you would have to rush the other quarterback in, presumably, before he's ready to play. And I would agree with that, and we have had evidence of what happens when you walk down that road. And even the year before last year, even Kaiser winning the job, even the year before, Kessler, remember, there was they ended up having to play him because RG3 got hurt in the opener, and then McCown broke his collarbone, and he had to come out too. And suddenly you're playing with Cody Kessler. I think this was a wise move.
Yeah, I did too.
I think this was a wise move. There are a lot of smart moves going on. I'll throw out something that I've been thinking of, though. The Browns signed E.J. Gaines, cornerback from Buffalo, and they have done a lot of work in the secondary. And they've gotten corners, and they've taken a corner that can play safety. Which makes me wonder, are they locked in on a defensive back at number 4?
I was wondering that too. It kind of seems like they're stockpiling. I wonder if that trade down scenario from 4, let's say it could be with Buffalo for 12 and 22, who knows? But I wonder if they're maybe going to bump down a little bit and look at offensive line, which may be a little too early at 4, but at 12 it might make more sense to get the lineman there. And 22, where you can get best player available.
Yeah.
But maybe get out of the defensive back area and look at other needs.
Yeah. But again, now remember, and I am totally, I know it's a fluid situation, But I am also a believer that whoever they take after they take the quarterback, if we all buy into,
got to be a stud.
If we all buy into that guy's got to sit. The next guy that's picked has got to be a player right away.
Yeah.
You can't have all these projects.
Yeah.
You have to have some blue blood talent out there. And the reason why they're blue blood talent is because they are effectively the number 4 pick. All right? So when you start going down, remember, you're going down, and the pool gets a little thinner down there, and you got to have players that go in and can play right away on this team.
Well, and I wonder if the Browns are also stockpiling on defensive backs. I'm quite sure. I apologize, I don't have my laptop in front of me. I bet you people are saying, well, couldn't that mean that Saquon Barkley might be back in the mix? Well, it could. I mean,
I'm just not hearing that.
Yeah.
But, because I think they are prepared for some kind of backlash and criticism if they do not take him, and he is available.
Right.
And he may be off the board at number 4. But if he's on the board at number 4 and they don't do anything, and he's there and they pass on him, they will be subject to some criticism, which I think they're ready to stand up to.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of that,
but you may have to wait until Friday, until they answer the criticism, which would be the second round.
I was going to say that it would be the next day before they would draft somebody, unless they traded down later and traded back into the first round like they did with Njoku. But I can't imagine they'll do that for a running back. Because I think the pool is pretty deep in the second round. I can't imagine they would do that. But Jimmy, we're a month away, and this was like 5 different things to talk about with the Cleveland Browns. This is crazy. Our guy Tony Grossi's down in Orlando, I know, at the owners' meetings, and
we apologize to the city of Orlando for that. But
that's
where the meetings are.
We tried to keep them.
We tried to keep them here.
We tried to keep them here, but we'll keep an eye on everything. Jimmy will have more coming up tonight. Channel 3 News at 11. Cavs off until tomorrow, and then Indians in action this week.
Yeah, how about that? Just a closing thought on the Cavs.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's been kind of uncertainty and doom and gloom a little bit about the Cavaliers because of the injuries and the sickness and the trade and all that kind of stuff. Over the weekend, things really broke for the Cavaliers.
Yes, it did.
All right, and I think it began actually last week, and let me set it up for you. Toronto blows a 15-point lead here in Cleveland. That game meant a ton to the Raptors.
Yes.
It was a proving point for them that they could beat the Cavaliers because they're sitting up there at the top spot in the Eastern Conference, and a lot of people think that could end up as an Eastern Conference final. And if it does, they want to prove that they can beat the Cavaliers, and they had them, and they let them get off the hook, and they lost the game. And I think that's wait a minute, that kind of loss. Kyrie Irving has to have a cleanup procedure on that knee. Steph Curry, that's a significant injury, and they're not even talking about his ankle injury.
No.
This is a knee.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, things are starting to turn the Cavaliers' way as we approach the playoffs.
And that's the thing. I don't know if Irving's going to make it into the first round of the playoffs, and we'll wait and see on that. Steph Curry's not playing in the first round, and I still think Golden State gets past whoever they would play, but they're going to be a team that's going to be. When we saw this happen a couple of years ago when the Cavs won the championship, when Curry was not 100%, Golden State was not at top form.
No, and they had
finals time.
Yeah, they had to go deep into series. They had to go 7 games. In that last series to get through, remember, to win the Western Conference Final against the Thunder, who really should have beaten them, and played the Cavaliers in the finals. But no, I don't know. There was a shift in the NBA world, and it tilted towards Cleveland, I thought, last week and certainly over the weekend.
Yeah, with 9 games to go in the regular season. I think 16 days until the playoffs start, I think I saw the other day. It's going to be exciting. That is always exciting. Jimmy, thanks so much. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you all for watching the Donovan Live Postgame Show right here on WKYC's Facebook Live.